Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about the 2001 novel Black House, which Stephen King wrote in conjunction with Peter Straub, and which was the sequel to The Talisman. We'll be showing you what to look for when trying to identify first US and first UK editions of the book, as well as providing some thoughts on the work itself. The first US trade edition was published, if you can see it, by Random House. And if you look inside the dust jacket, look for a price of $28.95. And the copyright page is a little unusual in how it is indicated. You look for a number line. The number line does not have the number 1. The lowest number on the number line is the number 2. But right below that, it says First Trade Edition. And that's how you know you have the First Trade Edition. It's a little misleading because normally you would expect to see a 1 in that number line. Black House does not have it for whatever reason. The book is, good looking all around, all black as you might expect, silver printing on the spine. So this book was released in a first edition print run, mind-bogglingly big, like 2 million copies. So if you're building your collection, this is a good one to start with because you should be able to find it pretty much any day of the week for not a whole lot of money. So like any of the bigger books, especially ones that were read and enjoyed, even though there were so many of them, it can be a little tricky to find one in really nice shape. But my advice in terms of value and collecting Black House would be to look for one that is in really nice shape for $20 or less. A lot of times you could probably find one of these for $10 or less, but anyway.
Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the UK trade edition of Black House. This book was published by Collins. It's a typical trade edition. I don't have too much to say about this, but it's got a really terrible cover. Black and white, almost no artwork, super ugly, super plain, kind of insomnia level cover, and really unattractive black lettering on the back. Looks like a big newspaper. Pretty ugly book. Anyway, if you want to check to see if your book is a first edition, you're looking for a $17.99 price on the jacket. And copyright page will have a number line that goes down to 1 to indicate a first printing. And that basically is the UK Black House. Awesome book, crappy jacket.
Thank you as always to Noah for your help showing a first edition book that I do not have in my own collection. So Black House came out 17 years after the first collaboration between Stephen King and Peter Straub, The Talisman. And a lot had happened in the Stephen King universe in the ensuing 17 years. And a lot had happened to Stephen King and Peter Straub as writers as well. So Black House has an awful lot of connection to the Dark Tower series. The Talisman, you kind of have to stretch. The Dark Tower series was not nearly as well fleshed out and was just getting started in 1984. But Black House is just, man, smack in the thick of it. And Stephen King has actually said that in the process of writing Black House and answering some of the questions that Peter Straub had for him about the Dark Tower series, it helped him sort of understand more about the world of the Dark Tower and also how the series should end, which I thought was pretty interesting. And so 17 years is a huge amount of time for authors as prolific as Stephen King and Peter Straub. And while The Talisman is not a bad book, I definitely feel like it suffers a little bit. And I've gone on record before saying that The Talisman is one that I expected to like and I hope to like, but I didn't like as much as everyone else seems to. I think The Talisman suffers a little bit with the two author dichotomy, and I feel like as I was reading, I could feel like not necessarily which author took over, but I could see where the seams were. I could see like, all right, so you're gonna write this part, and then I'll write the next part, and we'll do some sort of connective tissue to put them together. I felt like the talisman showed its seams. Black House, on the other hand, I found to be seamless and breathtaking, and really just the absolute masterpiece that is promised by the combination of talents such as Stephen King and Peter Straub. I was kind of marveled as I went along that I really couldn't. It just flows, and I didn't have that sort of jarring sense of like one author handing the story off to the other. And I think it just speaks to how much growth they had in the ensuing years. Not to mention the fact that Stephen King had a near-death experience in 1999 when he had his infamous accident and was hit by a van. And I feel like there's a passion and an energy in Black House that I didn't necessarily get in The Talisman, and a passion and an energy that I didn't necessarily feel toward the late 90s in Stephen King's works. But I don't know, I'm probably reading way too much into this, no pun intended, but it feels like, you know, the two old friends sitting down and just thrilling in each other's company, both of them realizing that the opportunity was almost robbed from them completely, and they have the opportunity and they're making the most of it. So like all of the books that tie into the Dark Tower series, you don't have to have read the Dark Tower series to enjoy Black House, but it helps. I think if you weren't familiar at all with the Dark Tower series, there are parts of Black House that might be rather jarring and like, what the heck is going on, and who are these people that I'm seemingly supposed to already know? But at its heart, Black House has a very involving and disturbing mystery about a series of gruesome murders. I figure that's probably not too much of a spoiler considering that it's Stephen King and Peter Straub, but there's that mystery. There's also some epic haunted house action, which kind of reminded me a bit of the Marston house from Salem's Lot, and then just a finale, an alternate dimension finale that defies all logic and explanation, and is just such a mammoth work of imagination and a testament to these two authors that they pull it all together, and it still seems so real and so believable. That's probably giving too much away, but there's a good chance if you're watching this video, you've already read Black House, you're familiar with it. So of course, now in 2023, Peter Straub has passed away. So while there was long-lived rumors of a third Jack Sawyer novel, it does not appear, unless they were working on something sort of in the shadows for years and years, and Stephen King finishes it and brings it to market, which would be a beautiful tribute to his late friend. As far as we know, there will not be a third Jack Sawyer, which really is a shame. But at least we have Talisman and Black House. And what was interesting, so I read the Talisman, or I listened to it, and it kind of annoyed me and drove me crazy, and that bothered me quite a bit. And then fast forward sometime months later, and I listened to Black House, and I liked Black House so much that it retroactively caused me to reassess Talisman and made my opinion of Talisman rise in the bargain. And someday I will go back and reread or re-listen to the Talisman and try to come to it with a fresh perspective and an open mind, having experienced and enjoyed Black House so much. But regardless, Black House, I feel like, truly is the embodiment of the potential that comes with having Peter Straub and Stephen King's names on the same cover of the same book. Whereas Talisman, I feel like, kind of frustratingly missed the mark, in my opinion. Black House delivers in spades. So anyway, it is definitely one of my favorites of all time. And I thank you for your time, as always, watching this video. And I hope wherever you are, you have a great rest of your day. And I will talk to you later. Bye.